These pictures side by side, tell me, does the picture below make the pain to minorities of the picture above better? Just because one picture sends a message that is heartwarming doesn't take the sting from the picture that shows looting of only people of one minority. Yes, it's a real picture, I get it. I'm not saying hide the picture. I'm only saying all you're doing is trying to telegraph to everyone you're not being racist. It doesn't take the sting from the groups embarrassed by a few bad actors acting who failed to think about anyone but themselves, just like you just did. Southern Florida, Irma, looting. September the 12th, 2017. Trigger warning. If you are emotionally invested at this moment, this will not be well received by you. I'm cringing the last few days, not because of the looters, but the media and YouTube, both left and right, are hanging out their clear, biased views, not on race. They're just getting all the attention they possibly can. They act like piranha in a feeding frenzy, not realizing the overall message they send because they're lost in their own personal agendas. It causes me sorrow and remorse for a society already suffering from division based on culture. I have to ask, has either side noticed that looting is not a new phenomenon? It happens after every natural disaster. Yet Harvey happened in Texas, a very independent-minded state and usually conservative. Little was mentioned about the bad side there. One would assume there was no looting, since I heard almost nothing negative there. Hurricane Irma, however, looting stories have come back with a vengeance. I could point out that the pictures of the shoe store looting shows only African Americans. That is a convenient argument. I cringe at the cluelessness of many who show it, then show all races in pictures of working together, as if somehow that takes off the sting and shows that they're not racist, like any of us really care what their individual views are. It still sends the wrong message. But all those pictures are real, and as far as I know, so it is an argument, whether I like it or not. The other side would just roll its eyes about it. Instead, I'll take you on a little history lesson from my perspective. First, 1988, George H.W. Bush had an ad, the Willie Horton ad, when he was running for president. At the time, the left called it racist. The right said, it's facts, get used to it. I myself didn't understand the argument being made at the time. Second, the year 2000 election, the infamous Chad and butterfly ballots of Florida. The connection and contention by the left, it caused many in areas like Broward-Dade County to accidentally vote for Pat Buchanan. The right, including myself, rolled its eyes and joked, because the left's contention was that the voters were too uninformed or ignorant to use a finger and follow a line to the right hole. Broward-Dade County, however, is predominantly minority. The left insulted them, and the right, instead of pointing out the stupidity, just laughed and made fun, leaving the minorities to feel disenfranchised by everyone on both sides. The looting we hear daily today was shown to make a point and embarrass those who took advantage of a bad situation, a tragedy. However, context matters. This is near the same area, Broward-Dade County, again, a minority area, at probably the most divisive moment in recent memory, where we all are focused on race. Add to that the pictures I just mentioned. Even though it is factual, it is at a moment of human suffering. Emotions are raw, and we have never been so ill-served by those of influence in society on both sides. This is more complicated than race or location, and personal experience and perspective is sometimes more important than the moment we find ourselves in. I'm sure no one is thinking straight They may not understand why their actions are having the opposite effect. But whether your intent is pure, it's the other side's interpretation of what they see and hear that will decide how they behave. It takes two people or groups to create a conflict. How you respond to the initial action decides how the other side responds. If you feed into the negative and then respond, and they respond further feeding into that negative, that is how a tragedy happens, how things get out of control. And after the tragedy happens, all we do is focus on the tragedy as if it stands alone. That is what is making me cringe. The fact is, for some reason, looting is taking center stage last few days. I don't believe it has to do with race. I believe it has to do with those of influence showing a level of ignorance and lack of wisdom that they can't help but hurt us all. Thank you. I hope it has some value. Those in the area are doing their jobs. I'm not attacking the police for doing their jobs or trying to get the message out that they won't tolerate this. That's their job at a difficult time. The message was meant for a local audience. My argument is about the lack of wisdom in the media and YouTube, putting their spin because it gets them attention and ratings. Facts are one thing. Milking a situation that is so emotionally raw is a disservice to us all. Thank you.